Welcome to Where You Live. We have a jam-packed show for you starting here in Powell River, then heading over to the Salvation Army in the Comox Valley, and then back here to Powell River, up to Lund. It's going to be a great show. Stay right where you are. Welcome back to Where You Live. As promised, here are my two library experts. This is Deb Zagwin and Megan Cole, and they're going to talk to us about what's happening at March break here at the Powell River Library. So Deb, I guess you're up first.
Well, Megan and I have a kind of an overlap happening here with a number of events, but my speciality is the younger ones. So we're inviting children, actually of all ages, to come and play with our state-of-the-art puppet theater and all of our puppet collection. This is one of our puppet collections.
He's so cute.
Yes. And we'll have props for them to goof around with, and we will have books to pull out for scripting. And this is what a bit of a prop looks like when there's a fire in a castle. Low tech.
And Megan, how about you? What are you guys up to?
Yeah, for the whole, the week before Easter break, so Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, yes. Deb's event happens on the Thursday, and then on Tuesday we're having a Keva Build-a-thon, and the Keva are a new thing here at the library. They're small wooden planks. They're all the same size, and they are amazing for building. We had our first event with them earlier this month, and we had over 50 people come, all ages, dads, grandpas were down on their hands and knees, and just building really amazing structures. So we're doing that again on the Tuesday of the second week of spring break.
For all ages.
All ages. And then on the Wednesday, we're doing a Meet Sphero event. And Sphero is, we have two of them, and they're robots that you can code. And we're going to teach kids how to play with robots on that day. So they can drop in any time on those 2 days between 10:30 and 3 and just have a good time, build, play with robots. And yeah, it should be a lot of fun.
Cool. All right, well, and all of that information is available on their website, so check out the website on the screen that you see. Megan and Deb, thank you so much for telling us what's coming up for March break. It sounds like it's going to be a blast. So if you're in Powell River and you don't have anything else to do, this is the place to be. I'm Mary Ruth Harris. We'll be right back. There are some very extreme science ideas that can be found in science fiction. You know where else you can find extreme science? Right here.
Extreme science.
So what are we gonna do today? We're gonna blow up some more stuff. Why? Because it's fun and we're chemists and we're professionals. So what are we gonna do? We have a setup over here. There's a torch and a bucket. Inside that bucket is a balloon filled with hydrogen and oxygen. In particular, 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. That ratio might sound familiar. It's water, H2O. So what is this reaction gonna do? When it blows up, it's not really gonna produce fire. It's gonna produce water vapor and a huge amount of energy. This bucket is gonna clear the height of the building. Now also, this is the same type of chemistry that you use in rocket boosters for the space program. They mix liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen together as part of the boosters, and it produces so much thrust that it sends the rockets up into space. So we're gonna simulate that today, just on a really, really, really small scale. But it's gonna be super loud and super fun. So I've got Christine over here. She's gonna set off the balloon using the torch over here. Now it's gonna produce so much energy. It's gonna be so loud. I'm gonna run this way because it's gonna be huge, all right? So I'm gonna back up, I'm gonna let her take over, and she's the boss. And that is pretty cool extreme chemistry right there for you.
Now, if you're not in Powell River, I'm quite sure that if you look at the Courtney Library, the Cumberland Library, the Comox Library, the Campbell River Library, or any of the museums, you are going to find a whole amazing array of activities that you can do with your children over the March break period. Your children, your grandchildren, whoever it is you're going to entertain over that 2-week period. So be sure to check out all of the websites for your local area, and you will find exactly what you need to keep the kids occupied and entertained. I'm Mary Ruth Harris. We are now in Courtney, and joining me is Brent Hobden here at the Salvation Army shelter on Pidcock Street. Brent, we are standing in the middle of the new renovated kitchen dining area. Mm-hmm. How much did this renovation cost? Let's start there. Let's start with the price tag.
The price tag is a very modest $700,000, give or take a couple thousand.
$700,000. That does seem like a modest renovation in today's market. Now, how did the idea for this start? Was it on a napkin, or was it bigger than that?
A little bit bigger than that. We have a team of people working with the Salvation Army who have a passion for making sure that the guests, the people that come into the Salvation Army, have what they need in order to excel at life. So we were talking in a management meeting about 7 or 8 years ago, and the idea came up that maybe what we need in our shelter is an opportunity to have some program space. And so it just kind of evolved into that, into what can we do? What would we do with our program space? And the end result, almost 7 years later, is this new building that we have.
Amazing. Now, what was the size of this building when you started? Because this is an addition, correct?
Yeah, so we have about 1,200 square feet of an addition. Okay. The original size was roughly 6,000 square feet, so now we're up just over 7,000 square feet. And we're finding that should be enough to address the needs of our guests for the immediate future. Okay.
Now, over the years, how have you seen those needs change?
It's interesting. And that's a very complex kind of a question. Throughout the past probably 10 or 15 years now, we've been recognizing that it's not the typical homeless person that's coming into our shelter. We're finding that there's so many people who are just struggling out there. They're recognizing, they've been paying rent all along and they're no longer able to do that. We're finding it's a bit more of a transient population that's coming in. We're also finding a significant amount of our guests are coming in with some emotional needs, some emotional support needs. And so we're looking at different programs that we can bring into the Valley that will help to address those ongoing concerns.
Now, are the emotional and mental health issues that you're seeing, those you're seeing different than, say, 10 years ago? Do you think it's the pressures of society have shifted a bit?
Could be the pressures of society. It could also be the fact that it's extremely expensive now for a person to live on their own. Back 10, 15 years ago, it was possible. It was tight, but it was possible. Now it's to the point where it's impossible for somebody to live on their own. And when they're finding out that they're needing to have that living mate, somebody to share the expenses, they're finding that they're not able to cohabitate like they need to be. So we're having to teach them some skills, some coping mechanisms, how do you share, how do you break down your bills, how do you deal with those little intricacies that some people find difficult to live with another person.
Now, let's talk about the physical space itself. The building here on Pidcock Street, describe to us what it is you've added and what you started out with. Let's start with what you started with. Sure. And what you've added to it. Okay,
so we've had 18 beds or 12 beds for men and 12 beds for men and 6 emergency beds for ladies for the past number of years. What we've added are 6 transition units, which are really, really exciting. So we have 3 transition rooms for ladies and 3 transition rooms for men. The transition rooms come complete with a television, a bed, a little sitting area. It has a computer, cable television access. The computer is really, really important for the programming that we're getting into. The different life skills that we're teaching, they're in needing of going onto the internet to do some research and to do their homework, so that we can make sure that they've got what they need to get the job skills and the life skills so that they can go back out into the workplace, secure housing, and then secure that roommate or whoever it is that they need in order to thrive.
Now, I heard recently also that like many forms that you would have to fill out for government are all online now, and you have to have computer access to be able to do that. So this would be another added bonus to having those computers.
Absolutely, and those forms that you're talking about can be a huge barrier for a lot of our guests.
Yes.
I mean, most people find it a little daunting when you're going online trying to figure out exactly how to fill out a form.
I do.
Right.
Revenue Canada, say no more.
Right. We can use the shelter as a permanent fixed address for people who want to vote. I mean, so many different advantages for having a fixed address, for having an email address, for getting their bills electronically sent to them. So many different reasons as to why being able to get online, being able to search the internet is very important to our shelter guests now.
Now, you have the emergency beds, and the emergency beds, those are year-round or just for emergency weather situations?
Those are year-round beds.
Year-round
so we
beds,
have the 12 men's beds and the 6 beds for ladies.
Okay.
In addition to that, during inclement weather from November 1st all the way through until March 31st, the BC government opens up the EWR program, which is Extreme Weather Response.
Okay.
And that's in effect now. So we have another 15 beds that we're allowed to open up into our shelter. So we have a potential of having 36 people in our shelter at any given time now.
Okay. And the area that we're standing in, this is the new dining and kitchen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's pretty exciting as well. In the past, we've only been able to feed a few people, so we'd have to have all of our meals kind of in rotation. The ladies would actually eat in the ladies' lounge, the men would get together in smaller groups. Now we're able to bring pretty much everybody together and have a communal meal. And I think it helps to build that feeling of community, of togetherness, and build that friendship level.
Now you're back to the transition rooms. When somebody comes in, first what do they have to do to qualify to be eligible for a transition room?
And that's such a great question, Mary Ruth. We have a really good group of nonprofit organizations here in town. It's called a HERO, and we rely on the HERO to give us recommendations on who they believe would be the best candidates to go into these rooms. And then we work with the other departments within the Salvation Army as well, through our community and family services, through our parent-child resource center that we have at the church, and through the various different things that are happening here at the shelter. So we take all that information, we put it together, and we make a very informed decision as to who would best fit into these new programs. So it's not just a place for somebody who can come and live for 3 months. There's some very, very strong programming that goes behind it.
Okay.
Our desire is that person is going to enter into the transition unit program, get all the skills, whether it's life skills or technical skills or job skills or resume, whatever it is that they need on an individual, on a one-on-one basis, get those skills and abilities, and then we'll help them secure living quarters outside of the shelter after 6 months or a year or 18 months, whatever it is they need in order to build that job bank skills or life skills. And then we'll help them out into the community to secure their own unit or their own home.
Right.
And then we'll go into those homes and help them for an additional 6 or 12 or 18 months, whatever it is that they're going to need in order to make sure that the homes that they're in, their bills are being paid, they're still able to connect with community, they're still able to get the health and mental and dental and whatever it is that they need in order to lead that life that gives back, that quality of living.
So, there's no time frame?
No time frame at all.
That's awesome.
Yes, and it's also fairly
unique. Because that removes a massive pressure right there.
It removes a pressure on the guest that's coming in, but it also removes a pressure on us. All of a sudden, we're not in that point of saying, okay, we've only got 3 months or we've only got 6 months to work with this person. We've got as much time as it needs for that person to get from where they are to get to where that person wants to be.
Right.
The very first thing we do is we talk about goals.
Right.
So we find out what their goals are, what they want in life, what they want to do, and we do whatever we possibly can to help them reach those goals.
Awesome. So depending on the individual who's coming in, they might only need your help for 6 months here, and then they'd be ready to transition into their own place, or somebody might need quite a bit longer, and it doesn't matter, you're here no matter what.
That's the idea.
Okay.
Yeah. Now we're looking at probably a minimum of 6 months.
Okay.
If it was less than 6 months, what we've been doing in the past is we would try to get them into a home on their own, and we would go into their place
Right.
and help them with whatever skills it is that they're needing, if it's only going to be such a short time. But yeah, if it's 6 months or longer.
So, Brent, what is an example of some of the programs that you offer? Does it include cooking skills or mathematical skills, like basic accounting, balancing a checkbook?
Yeah, and all of the above would be an easy
okay.
answer. But it's pretty exciting. We do things like certified forklift training.
Oh.
We do first aid, certified first aid training, budgeting, and all of the different life skills that we need, including anger management, including how to healthy lifestyles, healthy boundaries, how to get along with people. It's not just a case of management, anger management skills. It's what do you do when you get into situations where you need to learn how to back off just a little bit and how to diffuse potentially hostile or trigger points. We have some very capable people that have come onto staff over the last couple of years, and we're very excited about those new programs that we're offering.
Awesome. What would you say to the public regarding continued support for the Salvation Army?
No, and that's such a great question, Mary Ruth. We've just come through our biggest fundraising opportunity with Christmas. Most people think that the need is it's gone until next Christmas, and that's just not the case. We have a food bank that we rely on. Most of the people here in the shelter look to the food bank when they're finished in the shelter. They go back into their homes and they rely upon that. All of the programs and services that we operate through the shelter are paid for by the Salvation Army. And so we're relying on donations to keep coming in and to help us with these programs. So if you're able to support us, you can drop into any of our 3 thrift stores here in town. You can drop into the church or into our Community Family Services office, or you can give us a call at 250-338-5133, and we'd love to hear from you.
Brent, thank you so much. And it's an amazing, beautiful new space. Congratulations.
Thanks so much, Mary Ruth. Really, really appreciate your support.
You're watching Where You Live. We'll be right back.
A Saturday morning chocolate chip making session, a perfect excuse to spend quality time together between 10-year-old Adrian and her Kids Start mentor, Gloria.
Tom's gonna like these cookies.
Kids Start is Powell River's only mentoring program for vulnerable children. We match and screen and train volunteers to spend time with children 3 hours a week to enjoy each other's company and get to know one another and celebrate opportunities and success together. So it's very much like the Big Brothers Big Sisters model that most people are familiar with, but that program closed in our community several years ago.
Now you have to eat lunch before we eat the cookies?
Yes.
Eat the cookies first.
Lunch, then cookies, you know that, Gloria.
I know.
A wonderful example of what Kids Start is like when caring, loving people who have time and love to give can offer that time and love to a little girl who is looking for a caring person to enter her life as a grand mentor.
Good. It's got to end up looking just like this. See how this one's all nice and smooth?
I like to call it, in this case, they're retired and they had a void where a grandchild would be, and Adrian was looking for having a caring person in her life, and so they were introduced and have been matched now for over 3 years and just have a wonderful connection. So doesn't matter what they're doing, they just love each other, they love the time they spend together, and they really light up each other's lives in a way that is hard to describe, but that I know it's the highlight of everyone's life.
Well, at first I thought I was too old and phoned Tara and talked about the program, and she's reassured me that age doesn't matter. And then now our relationship with Adrian, she just likes hanging out with us, you know, and she's a little chatterbox and we have fun, you know. there's been times, like for example, we're getting ready to go away, and we said, oh, Adrian, we're kind of busy, but we're going to Costco tonight, so if you want to come with us, that'd be great. And we had a great time.
Kids need mentors of all ages. They really do. And part of the program's success is that we match children very carefully with volunteers that they could most benefit from. So that means that a child who chooses a volunteer of that age knows that they're choosing a volunteer who's a grandparent age, or choosing a volunteer who's of an auntie or uncle age, who is knowing that they will benefit from that person and what they have to give. And in Tom and Gloria's case, what they had to give was that stability, that connection, that care, that a lifetime of experience has provided them with, and the opportunity for them to dote on and care for that little girl.
Yeah, see? How's that coming? Audrey.
She will be part of our life for as long as she wants to be part of our life for. We talk about lots of things like that, like what she's going to do when she grows up, or what she's going to learn to do or be, or etc. And yeah, I would hope that we'd continue what we have now just down the road further.
+3=9, 1+7=8, 6+nothing=...
Awesome!
6. I had a few thoughts about being a nurse or a doctor or a lawyer. Well, when we first met, I'm like, I'm not too sure about this. But now that we've known each other for a long time, I feel like I want them, like at my wedding if I do get married, at my graduation, stuff like that.
Perfect! You did it! Ding, 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 ding!
Well, it's just been a wonderful experience, and I just feel so lucky to have Adrian in my life. She has really enriched our life, and I like to think we're enriching her life. And she really, I would like Adrian to be in my life forever. It's her choice, of course, but yeah, it's just, and it's fun. We have a lot of fun together.
Welcome to Where You Live. I'm Mary Ruth Harris. We are here in Powell River, beautiful sunny day, and we are at the spectacular library. And I'm joined by a very special guest, Chief Librarian, now retired, Terry Nareau. We wanted to give you a chance to say one last comment to the community.
Well, this was my last job before retirement. In the last 3 years, it's just been wonderful. The community gave great support to building the new library, and they've just been magnificent since we opened and showing up. In January, we had 46% more people visiting than we did the previous January.
Absolutely fabulous. Now, when you guys originally started this, it started with a referendum, didn't it?
Yes.
And what was the number? It was some outrageous number.
So we had 76% of the people voted in favor of a new library.
Awesome. And it has turned out so magnificently. And I understand you had just a tremendous working relationship with everybody involved all along.
Yeah, we had really good. The community as a whole supported us. The contractors were great working on the city, provided us marvelous support in getting it done. So it was a really good community effort, and we ended up with a really good library at a very attractive price for the community.
Awesome. So what is the first thing you're going to do now that you're retired?
Not get up in the morning with the alarm clock. No, my plans this summer are sailing my boat to Alaska. So I'm going to spend 3 months going to Alaska and coming back.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, congratulations on a job well completed. The library is spectacular. You were so fierce in getting it done.
It was a great effort, and the staff did lots to put it in place, and the staff really, you can see the impact they had on the community with so many people coming in now that we have more space.
Yeah, awesome. Well, congratulations, Terry, and all the best in your retirement.
Thank you.
you're watching Where You Live. We have traveled up the road from Powell River and landed in the magnificent Lund. The reason we're here is we are going to receive an update on the Tla'amin Community Canoe build that started in the fall with Mr. Phil Russell coming right up. You're watching Where You Live. I'm Mary Ruth Harris. We have left Powell River and we've made our way up to Lund. Lund, you say? Yes, we are in Lund and we are in a great big warehouse. And the reason we are here is that we are joined by Phil Russell, who began this journey with the Tla'amin Nation in the creation of community canoes. Now, this started in the fall. Tell us about, just give us an overview, just remind everybody what happened in October and November.
Well, welcome to Tla'amin, also known as Lund. Tla'amin is the traditional name of this place.
Okay.
Just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah, great.
So starting, I think it was back in October, we had a grandfather on Wellington Beach. We had 4 Indigenous carvers come and they started the project of the Hay House and Reconciliation Canoe. And out of that one grandfather, we actually got very lucky. We got 2 canoes.
What's a grandfather?
A grandfather is the cedar log that we had. And I say grandfather because once it arrived at the beach, in the Tla'amin tradition, it became known as the grandfather because in Tla'amin culture, the word jeja means relative. It also means tree. And that's how closely connected they are to their surroundings.
Okay.
So it became known as the grandfather. Because one of the main objectives of the project was to learn about the Tla'amin culture. And
which is why it happened down at the Wellington Beach, right? So that because that seems to be the common ground where everybody from Powell River ends up eventually in their day because of all the trails.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So through that, normally to finish a canoe like this would be about 3 weeks with 4 carvers like that.
Okay.
But we extended it out to 2 months to give as much opportunity for the non-Indigenous community to interact with the Indigenous carvers and the Indigenous community and to learn and to have conversations like we're having right now, face to face.
Right.
So it was beautiful. It was beyond my expectations.
The 2 months ended and it was highly successful from all accounts and everybody was able to participate and the feedback was wonderful. And now the canoes are here. What are they doing here?
Well, this here is the building that's behind the Tla'amin, the Lund Hotel, which belongs to the Tla'amin Nation.
Okay.
And so this is their building, and so we needed to store them to dry. They're not quite dry enough.
Okay.
So they need
and
to...
they're drying?
They're drying right now.
Okay.
And
so that they can be painted?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
The outside, well, they have to be painted. We're going to paint the outside black. We haven't, I don't know about the inside, what that color is going to be yet.
Okay.
And I'm thinking probably April, May before that happens.
And so if the general public wants to follow along with the journey of these canoes, they can check out the Tla'amin website, right? And then you'll have information, go up there when you know
when the dates
do?
for the painting's going to happen, then we'll have it in the local paper and I have an email list that people can email me to get onto, and that's philruss@telus.net.
Okay, that'll be on your screen. You can have that, look at that email, it's on the screen right there.
PHILRUSS.
Yes. It's such a complicated email. But Phil, thank you so much for your time and for telling us about the journey of these canoes, and we look forward to seeing them completed and what the next part of the journey might be. So thank you so much.
Well, I can tell you what the next part of the journey is going to be. It's actually going to be the tribal canoe journey to Puyallup.
Okay.
In July. It arrives in July 28th in Puyallup until August the 4th.
All right.
So we
can talk about that a little bit more in depth when we get to maybe May or June. We can come back and do an update on that. Okay. Awesome, Phil. Thank you so much. You're watching Where You Live. We are going to be right back. Beautiful winter day. Oh my goodness. You've been watching Where You Live. Hopefully we're going to flip the switch off of winter as soon as March 21st hits, and we are going to welcome spring with open arms. Now, March break, please take advantage of all the amazing programs being offered at the local libraries and the local rec centers to celebrate the family time that you will have during that time. Get out there with your kids and do something fun. For everybody else, thanks so much for watching Where You Live, and we will see you soon.